Liberal Viewer presents.
So watching the Republican presidential debates is one of the few things that makes me more hopeful that President Barack Obama will be reelected next year, because as flawed as President Obama's first term has been, he's at least a president who believes in facts and science, and as Bill Maher pointed out on his HBO show Real Time last week, reacting to the Republican debates.
The last one, I watched these 8 clowns on the stage. At the end of it, I wanted to raise my hand and say, I don't believe in evolution.
But as unevolved as some of the ideas have been from the candidates on the stage at these Republican debates, it's Republican audience members who really exhibited the unevolved behavior, as Bill Maher went on to point out later in his monologue here.
Are you watching these debates? I mean, yes, the politicians are bad, but the people who egg them on, they're these crowds cheering for executions, cheering for letting people without health insurance die. In today's Republican Party, there's a term for people who hate charity and love killing: Christian. These are Christians. Oh, I'm sorry. They prefer to be called a faith-based lynch mob. That's what they prefer.
Now I'll get to the hypocrisy of the Christian lynch mob at the end of the video, but first, for those who missed the audience reaction about, the first one came during a question to
A question about Texas. Your state has executed 234 death row inmates, more than any other governor in modern times. Have you struggled to sleep at night with the idea that any one of those might have been innocent?
Now I think cheering for anyone's death is pretty unseemly, never mind 234 of them, but for those who think cheering the execution of convicted murderers is excusable, the reaction at the next debate went even further when Texas Congressman Ron Paul answered a question about what should happen to a 30-year-old man who gets a catastrophic illness after deciding not to buy health insurance in this clip.
In a society that you accept welfareism and socialism, he expects the government to take care of him.
What do you want?
But what he should do is whatever he wants to do and assume responsibility for himself. My advice to him would have a major medical policy, but not before.
But he doesn't have that. He doesn't have it, and he needs intensive care for 6 months. Who pays?
That's what freedom is all about, taking your own risk. This whole idea that you have to prepare and take care of everybody.
But Congressman, are you saying the society should just let him die?
No.
I think some people in the audience at that Tea Party debate were just a little too enthusiastic about people dying, which brought satirical conservative pundit Stephen Colbert to an interesting conclusion about a possible Republican running mate in 2012, as you can see here.
Nation, these debates are supposed to help us find the Republican presidential candidate, but they have already helped us to find his running mate, the Grim Reaper.
And the Grim Reaper has some pretty good Republican credentials that Stephen Colbert went on to point out here.
That's right, the Angel of Death. Clearly, he is popular with the GOP base this year. He's got all the qualifications they're looking for. He's old and bone white. He's packing a weapon. He's got an incredible war record. And believe me, no one wants to get rid of Obamacare more than this guy. Plus, he is a close second to Rick Perry in executions.
And Rick Perry's rivaling the Grim Reaper on number of executions shows the fundamental hypocrisy of two major Republican constituencies Rick Perry supposedly represents: the conservative Christians and the small government Tea Party libertarians. First, the Christians, who should be more circumspect about the death penalty given that their religion is named after someone executed as capital punishment, but also the Tea Party libertarians, because giving the government the power to take away a person's life is the exact opposite of the small government they say they want. At least that's what I think, but I want to know what you think. Is supporting the death penalty hypocritical for conservative Christians and small government Tea Party libertarians? And on the bigger question about the clips from both Republican debates, will the enthusiasm of Republican candidates and audiences for pro-death policies move the Republican Party out of the American mainstream for the 2012 elections?
YouTube, you decide.